We are back and we are set for the third major of the season. Look at that. We're going to head out west to LA for the US Open. We may look back at what was just absolute brutality. Nick Taylor did it, the first guy in 50, 60, 70. It felt like forever, 69 years, 72 feet. So we have to look back, at least acknowledge that, although it was rough from a betting standpoint. On this element, we're going to bounce back and make it all back at the U.S. Open. We hit a couple of good things, don't get me wrong. At JazzRaz DFS is how you follow Ben Rasa. I'm Eytan Shander at Shander Show for me. And Ben, we have a bunch of things from Bet365 to the Discord. Other things we'll sprinkle in and around, but I know, and we just talked about it before we started, you jumped on Tommy Fleetwood after the start. I jumped on Rory after the start, both at decent numbers. We thought, all right, maybe make something happen here. That, alongside guys like Mark Hubbard that we had some vested interest in, it just fell short. Overall, just fell short.
A lot of chances, though. Truly, all you can ask for was disappointing because guys I started my card with, we talked about it last week, Mark Hubbard, Justin Rose, both right there. I like CT Pan. I ended up getting exposure to Fleetwood as well. No, Nick Taylor wasn't close to that. He also shot 75 on Thursday and just lapped the field after that. Crazy playoff. I mean, Fleetwood blew it in regulation. 18 is so easy, and he went iron, and he missed the fairway both times. You just can't do that. Adam Hadwin obviously got straight truck sticked by security, which was a nice
highlight
touch.
Of the weekend.
Highlight of the weekend, yeah. So it was fine. I was very encouraged from a macro standpoint, seeing the board well. Certainly top 10s, top 20s were very solid, but didn't get an outright and wasn't going to with Nick Taylor. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, we'll transition into LA in just a quick second here, but I do want to straddle the line of what happened last week, specifically on Sunday, to what can happen either this week or just moving forward. But it's not just because I had that 12-1 live ticket really towards the end of round one for Rory, and I thought, all right, really good price there, especially what happened on Sunday. But just for a guy who was putting so well and playing well overall, to just not do anything. And I know you look at the final result and say, okay, well, it wasn't horrific, but throughout the day, it just felt like such a struggle for Rory. And it felt a little off, Ben, in the sense of he didn't just turn it on and instead was playing well, putting well. And then for whatever reason, I wouldn't say totally fell apart, but just didn't take advantage of many chances at all and probably faltered on more chances than not.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that after Saturday, Rory was the favorite and the guy to beat. And he is, and we know that Rory is a historically good driver, but he is living a little too I mean, he gained 6 strokes off the tee last week. That's just stupid. And the problem is, if you do that, that just means that you have a million wedges in your hand. If you hit your wedge to 30 feet, you wasted the good drive. It just, that's as simple as that. And Rory, at times, he doesn't convert on these incredible drives. And we saw that here. He was flat with the irons. That's not good enough. It's just simply not good enough when you're driving it that well.
All right. Let's jump into it here. We remind you, of course, this is going to be tough, right? So before we even hit you with a name, you can look at the odds as we talk through it. This is no joke. First off, the course itself is ridiculous, right? The North Course, I mean, this is playing like you're going to see undulations. You're going to see movement. You think the false fronts were tough at Oakdale at the RBC. Wait until you see the change in undulation and just pin placement, how difficult and different, Ben, these holes can be day to day, depending on pin placement. We saw a little bit of that in 2017 with an amateur cup, but I think with anytime you're going to see a major like this, it's not easy. You're also not going to be able to power through every single tee shot here, even with length and required distance, because you may overhit your second shot, right? Like you may set up for some really bad shots where you may not even be able to see the green. So it's going to take some tact. It's going to take some accuracy. This thing is a freaking monster, and I'm curious to see how you see it overall.
Yeah, I mean, It's unique. That was my first word. Like if you ask me one word, doesn't really remind me of much of anything. Like it's just a weird looking course. There's those barranca. You got the stuff around the
Oh,
bunkers are
bunkers, yes.
really brutal. You've got a hole that's upwards of 75 yards. You have two other par threes that are almost 300 yards.
Yep.
You don't see that. So it's awkward distances, awkward shots. Uh it's a US Open, so you know you're going to need every club in the bag. I tend to think right now, from what I've seen, it's going to be more of a second shot course where you're not going to be able to go like full Bryson and just say, everyone's going to be in the rough. I'll just be further down. I think that could work, but I don't think it's a prerequisite. But this is a weird Chambers Bay, Aaron Hills, not in how it plays, but I remember when we got to those specific courses, people were saying, this is like a one of one. This is just a different type of test. And I have a feeling this is going to play very awkward. So it's a difficult evaluation.
Yeah, I think you're onto something about it being a second shot course, although it doesn't really demand it like you will normally see with bends and dog legs, right? Like you don't have it as much. It's just a matter of setting up your second shot more so versus just powering through it. Par fives are going to be interesting. Being able to take advantage and score as we normally talk about that, but you do have a couple, and that's going to be the length and being able to score on that, I think might jump out. 3 par fives. You mentioned the length on the par threes, ridiculous with a 220 plus. But I think that might be a sneaky area where you can get around it not being a second shot, meaning like you can grip and power through your tee shot and set up another second shot. Putting is going to be putting. We'll talk about that in relation to the top of the board. But where do you want to begin?
So it's a major. Listen, you got big time names all over the place. I honestly think I'm not going to bet him, but 7-1 on Scheffler the way he's playing, I think is actually pretty fair. If you want to go to the top of the board, but for me, I look at it seems, and a lot of these trends are interesting. They don't really they're not predictive, but it does seem like we've seen a lot of guys kind of check off that first box, first winning major. Fitzy comes to mind, of course, last year. Does it set up better for anyone than Xander Schauffele? I mean, we're in California. He's playing good.
Week.
He is the US Open master. He is there every single year. Just look at his US Open history. He's 20-1. He's playing good golf. Doesn't mean he just wins, but I find it hard to find a fault with Xander this week. He's got everything you could ask for, including, California's splits. I think he sets up perfectly here.
Yeah, I think you're on to it, man. I don't. We talked about him last week as far as not playing, of course, but odds and looking ahead. That past couple of weeks, really, when the last tournament we had with him, referencing Xander and the U.S. Open. So totally agree, and that you're going to have chances. This is like to cross sport here. This is like a volume play. Right? If you're playing an over and like shots on goal or threes or something like that, you want to make sure that you have the volume to play a guy like Xander in an outright. With history in this event, you're going to have it would be a shock if he's not in contention in some regard, even if he has to make a push, Ben, in the final day. So I think at 20-1, we remind you, of course, to shop. That makes a lot of sense. So nobody above him. I'm just going to go down. Although I do think, and look, his odds are probably watered down, but I think Hovland, if he hadn't won, I'd be interested to see where Hovland is. Now, again, you couldn't make that correlation because he hadn't won, but that might be, we saw that with some guys last year, Finau and others, like that might be breaking that seal. Be interested. But at 18-1, there's no real reason to take him when you've got a guy like Xander and others who are below him.
Yeah, you're just paying the tax. There's no doubt about it. Hovland he's amazing, and if he brings his A game, he's going to be there. But so is anyone else in this range. You've got Morikawa and Homa and those type of. So I want to just ask you. I'm not saying click it in, put it in Sharpie. What has golf been dominated by? The live stuff. Everyone's talking about that and blah blah blah, and we're starting to get back to reality of the stuff. the storyline of all storylines, I think, would have been, if none of this happened, would have been Max Homa, who is going to LA Country Club. He's got the course record. This is the thing. Everyone's on the Max Homa train. You know, he hasn't done anything in majors. I'm not hearing a ton of it. And I'm just interested to kind of, is that a guy you're considering in 30-1 range? Or do you say his major track record is so bad, it's a big leap to ask him to go and win this?
It's the latter, but I think it also correlates to, and look, I'm just going to look at what we have with everybody that's in his same range. Okay. Spieth, I understand where he's been, the ups and downs, but also the history there. Morikawa, it's just the withdrawal killed him.
Yeah,
because I think that, right. But, and that now it's kind of hovering here, but let's talk this through, because if you remove the course history, if you remove what you laid out as far as the big pro for a guy like Max Homa coming into this course, I would argue that a guy like Tyrrell Hatton is as equipped or better as far as just how he's been playing, as well as strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach. What we've seen, strokes gained in difficult scoring positions, it's a major. This tee, the pin placement is going to move left and right. Like Hatton, and I'm not even talking about the push that he made on Sunday, although I think he's got to feel insanely good about that, just how well he played on Sunday to push like that. But if I'm getting the same odds for Hatton versus Homa, I'm going to take Tyrrell Hatton even above Spieth and definitely above the concern of a guy like Morikawa with the withdrawal. So I'm glad you brought up Homa, because I was looking at Hatton just because of the fit here on top of how well he's been playing. And that spike on Sunday definitely helps. And lastly, Ben, I'll add, I don't think I'm paying a significant tax for him either.
No, if he would have won, maybe. And actually, sure, I'll get you. There's a 34-1 on Hatton over on FanDuel right now. Just again, you want to have all these books.
Yep.
Definitely worth it. Hatton is always a difficult evaluation in the sense that there's been times, particularly at US Opens in the past, he doesn't like the course, he's frustrated, and it unravels, but he's really starting to understand how to harness that. He's got 6 straight top 20s. He's playing unbelievable golf. One of those was at the PGA as well. So I get it. It's hard to push back on Hatton. He's rolling it not just on Bermuda either. He's gained a ton of strokes putting in the last couple weeks. Of course, not in Florida at this point in the year. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just also amazed, and I know I shouldn't be because it's a major. Like, we've scrolled a little bit, and we're going to continue scrolling, and we're going to see big time names still on the board. You can find good players at like 45, 50-1 here. Like, look at Decky, Rose. I mean, these are players.
Yeah, I think when you start to look at, and let's do that, right? Like, let's hit the mid range. When you start, and I don't even know where you want to begin. Fitzy is interesting with the history as well, the amateur tournament. You've got Finau, DJ, who is just off because of the live stuff. Bryson, you mentioned, although not being able to power through a lot. Decky is fascinating at 40-1.
Yeah.
I think he meets a lot of the criteria for this course. He's major tested. So if I'm look, I don't know what Tommy Fleetwood is following Sunday. I just don't. Is that not fair?
Yeah, I mean, Fleetwood is playing fantastic, and if he plays this well, he's going to start winning golf tournaments. I know everyone says he can't win, and I'm included in that because he seemingly can't win, but I just don't know. At 40-1 in a major, it's a little tougher. I'd rather have 20-1 in some of these rinky-dink fields.
Can we get with Decky here? Or
oh yeah, Decky's the spot for me. He's playing good golf. That's a good number. I see 35-1 out there. I see 34-1 out there. And the thing I like about Hideki, first thing I said when we came on, I don't know how this course is going to play, but he's the type of guy, doesn't seem to really matter. Like, he can handle really anything. If it's crazy difficult, that's okay. If it's easy, that's fine. Long irons, no problem. Driver heavy, he'll be okay. Like, he can just handle whatever. And I like that. He seems healthy. 40-1's a good number. Decky's definitely on the outright card.
Okay. I am not going to outright. Well, let me ask you this, because it opens up a little bit here. I know that the last time out, it was very disappointing for a guy in Jason Day, but it just I'm going to put him on my card, and I think more so, and I'm just curious to see where he is top 20. I mean, plus 140 for me, top 20, I think would be a better play. But I'm appealing to I mean, the same thing with Decky, the same thing with Hatton, the same thing even with Spieth, if you wanted to add him in that category too, as far as just playing and matching up to what this course demands. I think Jason Day, when we've seen him on this year, healthy and on, is a guy that I think can meet. Now, again, it's a big ask at the outright. That's why I only have it here at the top 20.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know what to think of Day just because he breaks through, he wins, and then he's been terrible. He's been awful in the last 2 starts. He missed both cuts. He leaked with the irons. He does spray a little off the tee, and it looks like you can get away with that, but I worry.
Wide fairways.
Yeah, you gotta. He's gonna have to survive there. You just got to get back to business. So I mean, I'm not betting Justin Thomas, but I was pretty shocked to see him 50-1. I can't remember the last time Justin Thomas has been 50-1 in a golf tournament.
Yeah, I think that's a major correlation with his golf game more so than
he's
anything
broken
else.
right now.
Exactly. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau and other guys added to a major does not drop him down 30 to 45. I mean, arguably, this guy should be in the top screen. Exactly. You're not. Look.
Why are you hovering over Ricky? What are you doing?
He's look, I'm just curious, what can I get for a top 40 Ricky Fowler play? Minus 150. You're not interested in that? I mean, he's playing well. He can meet again expectations here of what we talked about, strokes gained off the tee total and scoring difficult as far as approach around the green.
I'm fine with Ricky.
You're going to fight back on that?
No, I mean, I think we're going to have to, and again, we're going to talk about the Discord before we get out of here. That's the type of play. Put it down and let's check in as a team as we get closer to Thursday, because I think that Ricky belongs on the card, but I think what we do with him is with every guy, but finding the right lane. It might be a top 10 or a top 20. It might be matchups. Maybe his tee time with who he's playing with. We go 3-ball. I want exposure to Ricky this week. I think he sets up pretty well. I'm just not sure it's minus 150 for a top 40 because when Ricky doesn't have it, bad things happen.
That's very fair.
Yeah, but I like Ricky this week.
So you would rather, and there you go. You can see Ben's face throughout this whole time. The link is below. Make sure you sign up. Half off.
Great week to come in.
First week. It absolutely is, because
we're gonna have fun in there.
Talk Ben's ears off.
All of us. We got Lindy in there. You're in there. Isaiah. We got MMA. We're doing all sorts of things in Discord.
So we'll put Ricky more as a top 20.
Yeah, get him in the top 20. No.
Did I miss him?
Yes. But if he's 5-1 for a top 20, we're stopping the show.
He's 2-1 top 20.
Yeah.
All right. I actually have a top 40 that's plus money. I came prepared with a plus money top 40 that's going to hit, but I'll get to that in a second. All right. So Day is mine. So if it hits anything else, we're not going to take Ricky outright. Connors was super disappointing. All right, I'll hit you with this. I don't know how far down you want to go. I see your guy is already in the house here. I am intrigued. I'm going to give you two names. One I am going to bet. The other I'm not going to bet. I am intrigued with Wyndham Clark this week. Absolutely intrigued. I am not touching. Yes, I think he is at 80-1, he becomes an option to play at top 40, top 20. Like those working off that number. No way in hell am I going to take a shot at Wyndham Clark at 65-1 in this field. But Ben, I think from a metric standpoint of what we're asking in this specific tournament, he makes some sense. Now, what I am interested in is Adam Scott putting. Because if Adam Scott can putt, Ben, 75-1 is going to look glorious at the end of Saturday's moving day.
Well, he's been putting. I mean, there's no doubt. Adam Scott has been putting, and that's why
major-wise.
Yeah, but you've seen flashes of it, and that's encouraging. Hasn't been able to really, and he's uttered this. kind of frustrating year. He's making a lot of cuts, doing good, but is he really threatening? And that's what he's looking to do. I will go back. I don't personally like Wyndham Clark, but there's an 85-1 out there on FanDuel. So if you like that number, you definitely want to go snatch the 85-1 up for his
I want to
outright.
build off that is my point. Like, I'm not betting him 85-1, but I think now top 40 or top 20 would be more appealing built off of an 85-1 as opposed to 65-1. Like, there's no way DK can give me those same numbers.
Potentially. That's why we shop it. Again, that's why you're right on it, because these numbers are all over the place. I'm going to throw out kind of my last name here. And again, I'm sticking to my formula that we don't know what the hell's going on, and it's Patrick Reed. I like Neiman, but Patrick Reed knows what he's doing. He just knows what he's doing. And when he doesn't have it, he figures it out. He doesn't do it. It's not pretty. It's not crisp ball striking. But when the dust settles, you're like, oh, Patrick Reed is there. I mean, again, I don't even remember him at Augusta. I legitimately don't remember. And they came in fourth. Like, oh yeah,
amazing,
PGA,
isn't it?
Oh, 18th. Like, he is just there, and he just knows what he's doing. He's obviously not going to choke under pressure. So I look at a course that could be really weird, gimmicky. Patrick Reed, 80-1. I think that's as aggressive as I'll be this week in the outright market.
All right, I have it all built here. I'm going to run through it real quick on the way out, but I have one plus money top 40 play. Is there a name? Matt Kuchar played he closed really well. I'm not going to bring him up. Is there a name that jumps out to you at plus money that we could add to the card before we get out of here? Because for me, and did I miss him, or is he not even plus money for top 40?
Who's it, Denny?
No, what the hell's going on?
What's his
name? Do you have one? Sorry.
So I'll throw two out. One, Denny McCarthy's minus 105. He likes these type of conditions. We saw it at Memorial. I like Sergio. Sergio's plus 130. Good driver of the ball. Qualified to get in the US Open. I like that. Sergio's still got it. Does he have it all the time? No. But I look at him.
Aggressive.
What? You don't like Sergio?
Yeah, I like it.
I'm okay with him. Again, do I think he can go out and win the tournament? That's probably a little too far-fetched, but this is a great driver of the ball still. And again, he didn't just, I'm exempt, so I'll show up. Like, he said, I want to play in the US Open. I'm gonna go get it done. And he did. So you're telling me that he can't hang around and make this cut? I think he absolutely can, and I think he will.
I love it, man. Plus 130. It's worth a shot here. I'm going to leave you with my guy. He makes an appearance every single show at plus 170. It does not matter, Ben, what you throw at Eric Cole. He can handle it, okay? And I'm not worried about the field or anything else. In fact, these are fine odds for me. I'm sure you can shop. But at plus 170, I'm interested. The only other angle you may have is Adam Hadwin was so disgraced this past Sunday publicly. He has become a meme. He has become a viral video. People are asking what position the security guard played in the CFL or high school football up in Ontario, Ben. It is such a disgrace that maybe he has no choice but to show up and at least make the cut and finish top 40.
The Canadians,
not for me.
Dynasty. Maybe it's just the rise of the Canadians. I actually think Hadwin's fine. Eric Cole, I don't know what to say. I woke up. It's like, Eric Cole shot like 61 or some crazy nonsense. So I get it. I think
on the card last week.
He was, and he played very, very well. This is all everything's price dependent, but even more so here. I do want to give a quick shout out actually before we go. I don't want to bury the lead that we've said for a while now. If you're in New Jersey, Colorado, Virginia, or Ohio, you have Bet365 available, and you can always get that. They have great golf odds. They have each ways, stuff like that. You can do the bet one, get 200 in bonus bets. The link is below. It's super simple. A ton of you have done it. You got to be 21 plus. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But if you were in Iowa, how about this? The fifth state is on board and live. Iowa has Bet365, and to kick it off, they're doing bet one, get 365. I know not everyone lives in Iowa, but man, if you do, that is a straight can't miss amazing opportunity. Really, really good stuff from Bet365.
And you can put that dollar on anything. So take
Anything.
one of our take Eric Cole. No, don't take Eric Cole. But what give somebody the
Patrick
longest
Reed.
legit? Okay, Patrick Reed. Put $1 on Patrick Reed. If
Yeah.
it hits, now again, you may even get better odds on Bet365 than you are here. That's $80.
That's what I'm saying.
You're still going to get the 365 regardless, but you may get what you hit, or you can build a parlay. Don't do it in golf, but you can build a parlay. That's awesome.
It's great. But this is going to be.
Right.
I can't wait
Amazing.
to see this. 75 yard. How are there par threes? Because I don't golf. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I didn't think there were par threes that were 290 yards. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because you're limited clearly with the distance, right? With what clubs you can use, but at the same time, you're hitting off of the tee, trying to land on the green. So there are bunkers, there's hazard, right? It's not
downhill, but man.
But still, that's even more difficult, because if you overshoot, you really have to calculate. It's not rocket science, but it gets close to that, right? Like wind and power. So that's the beauty of it, is trying to just loft and not overpower it. But I think from the distance, the sheer change in distance, and a lot of this has to do in pin placement. Like you talk about that 73-yard par 3, that's just because that flag is all the way up in the front of that green. You move it back, it could be anywhere from like 130 to 140.
It's crazy. Yeah. So the 70-yard hole, that's right in my wheelhouse. I could drive that green, just pull out my driver and take a cut. But it's crazy. Like, what are you going to be? Small landing areas, guys would be obviously hitting like wedges. Can't wait to see it. I can't wait as we get closer. If you have questions, at Shander Show, at JazzRazDFS, we're going to have a ton of content here on Odd Chopper Golf, all things golf. This is like one of the biggest weeks of the year here. So we want you to subscribe, of course, hit the like button and stick around. But I can't wait to see this tournament. I'm very, very excited.
Absolutely. A reminder, you can hang with us throughout on the Discord that's below, and we'll see you next week.